If you love behind-the-scenes trivia, then you've come to the right place, because in this video, you're going to learn 10 amazing behind-the-scenes facts about Back to the Future, such as how the time machine was almost a fridge instead of a DeLorean. Back to the Future was a huge blockbuster at the box office, but in the beginning, it was a struggle to get its production supported. The movie was a passion project of screenwriter Bob Gale and director Robert Zemeckis. Gale came up with the concept for the story one day while looking at his father's high school yearbook, which made him wonder if they would be friends if Gale went back in time and he and his dad were the same age. Gale and Zemeckis wrote the script and then they shopped it around to the big movie studios, but none of them were interested because at the time, many successful 80s teen movies were more edgy than a script about time travel and improving family relationships. They also pitched the movie to Steven Spielberg, who they had collaborated with on 3 other films, which all bombed at the box office, and Gale and Zemeckis became worried that if they collaborated with him on another flop, that the movie industry would think the only reason the two of them could get a movie made was because they had a big name like Spielberg attached to it. So with Spielberg's blessing, they moved on to pitch it to Disney. The Disney executives really liked everything about the script, until they got to the parking scene where they immediately lost interest because Disney didn't want to be involved in any way with a project that had a mother kissing her son. So Zemeckis and Gale realized that if they wanted to make Back to the Future, Zemeckis had to build up a good reputation by making a hit movie, which is exactly what he accomplished with 1984's Romancing the Stone. After that, all the major studios started to take interest in Back to the Future, but Gale and Zemeckis decided to take it to Steven Spielberg, who loved their movie in the first place before all the success. And so Back to the Future became the first Amblin Universal picture that Steven Spielberg didn't direct. Michael J. Fox was 23 when he was playing 17-year-old Marty McFly. But despite the age difference, the two filmmakers knew early on that he would be the perfect person to play Marty. But they had a major problem in that they weren't allowed to cast Fox because he was already committed full-time to the sitcom Family Ties, and the TV series creator Gary Goldberg wouldn't allow him to do both. Gale and Zemeckis had to begin shooting on a specific date, or Back to the Future would be cancelled. So they hired Eric Stoltz instead, because they believed he had many of Michael J. Fox's qualities. However, for all the good qualities he did have, what he lacked most was the right comedic flair. So after 5 weeks of filming, the difficult choice was made to let Stoltz go. And Gale and Zemeckis went back to NBC to beg Gary Goldberg to let them cast Michael J. Fox. Goldberg agreed to let Fox read the script, but if he was interested, Goldberg made it clear that Family Ties had to come first. Little did they know that Michael had already heard about Back to the Future months earlier while he was filming Teen Wolf and wished he could be working on that movie instead of one about a werewolf. So when Michael J. Fox read the script, he immediately agreed. But this meant he hardly got any sleep because he started working 18 to 20-hour days by filming Family Ties from 6 a.m. to about 5 p.m. and then filming Back to the Future all night until about 4:30 in the morning. The stunt when Marty blows out the oversized speaker was more complicated than it may seem. They laced the speaker with a pyrotechnic material to make it break apart, then a stuntman was hooked up to a harness and yanked backward, who had to also kick the shelf, which was rigged to make everything fall off to cover up the stuntman's body, so that they could cut and then replace him with Michael J. Fox for the close-up. You may not have known that Michael J. Fox already knew how to play guitar since junior high. But even still, he insisted on being trained to be able to finger sync all of the difficult parts so that he would always look like he was actually playing. His trainer was the blonde-haired guitarist from his band in the audition scene, and as a bonus fact, the faculty member on the loudspeaker was Huey Lewis, who sang the movie's 2 chart-topping hits on the soundtrack. Christopher Lloyd was the perfect choice to play Dr. Emmett Brown, and his iconic look and character were based on a mixture of composer Leopold Stokowski and Albert Einstein. The iconic DeLorean that we know and love today wasn't their first idea for the movie's time machine. The original idea Gale and Zemeckis had was to have it be a fridge. The filmmakers changed their minds because they were concerned that kids would start climbing into their fridges and getting trapped. But they also thought that making the time machine a vehicle would be a much better idea because a DeLorean could travel with the two protagonists, whereas a fridge wouldn't have been that cool or practical. The films didn't use just one DeLorean because in reality, there were 3. When you think of Back to the Future's DeLorean, the car you're most likely picturing is the A car. When you see a close-up of the DeLorean's exterior, that's the A car, because it was the model that was fully decorated with all the effects and all the lights. The B car, on the other hand, was used exclusively for driving shots and stunt work, and is the car you see when the DeLorean is filmed from a distance. The C car wasn't really a car, because it was actually cut into pieces to allow the camera to film all the interior shots you see while Marty is driving. You'd think that Michael J. Fox loved every minute of working inside such a cool car, but he actually hated it, because his hand got banged up all the time while using the stick shift, since it was crowded by so many metal boxes. Many people consider Back to the Future to be a special effects film, but in reality there are only about 30 special effects shots in the whole movie. But one of the most famous special effects that you might be curious how they did it are the DeLorean's fire trails. The effect was achieved by using 80 gallons of quick-burning, smokeless pyro fluid, which was lit with torches. And the reason they used this type of fluid was because it wouldn't stain the pavement, and also because it could burn for a very long time. A little known fact you may not have noticed about the skateboarding sequence is that the entire thing took place inside the small town square on the Universal backlot. But you don't really notice that they don't go very far because of how tight the close-ups are and the fast editing that distracts our attention away from the background. And if you've ever wondered what the manure was made of that Biff and his cronies crash into, it was a mixture of mulch and alfalfa horse feed pellets. If you'd like to learn about another movie, click one of the videos you see on the screen. And if you're new here, subscribe and click the bell so you can keep learning more fun facts about your favorite films.